Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today's lesson is 1-3, 1-4, and our goal is, today I will learn to read and write decimals in expanded form. Expanded form means to stretch out. So when you write a number in expanded form, you are going to stretch it out, but not change its value. You're not going to change how much it's worth. So you're just going to take what you have and you're going to spread it out. Kind of if I had a big pile of M&Ms, I could have a pile here, or I could take a long line of M&Ms, but I still have the same amount. It's just how I wrote it, or how I put the M&Ms. Okay, our next word is parentheses. Parentheses is a mathematical symbol. It's also a symbol you use in writing, but they are two curved symbols. Brackets is in the parenthesis family, and they're used very much for the same purpose, but they are square instead of round. Okay, both of these are going to be part of our format tonight. Okay, our next section is our notes. Now remember, notes are hints or tricks or things that I think will help you. So again, I gave you the place value chart, and remember, these are the place values you're going to need to have memorized. You need to know that after the decimal points, the tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Remember, you must have the THS. Okay, so we're not using it for our questions, but we're using it as a resource or a tool to help us. Okay, our next thing is, I think if we kind of talk about how you did this in 4th grade, it'll help you with how we're going to do it in 5th grade. So this number is 9,106. In 4th grade, you did expanded form, but with whole numbers. So how you would have wrote this in 4th grade was a 9 is in the thousands place, so I have 9,000, plus I have a 1 in the hundreds place, so that's 100, plus I skip my 0, and plus I have a 6 in the ones place. Okay, that's 4th grade. Now, if we really stop to think about this though, how did you get the 9,000? Well, you got the 9,000 because you had 9 thousands. So really what you had was you had 9 thousands, which got you 9,000. Here you had a 1 in the hundreds place value. So you had 100, which ended up equaling 100. And here you had a 6 in the ones place. So you had 6 ones, or 6 times 1, which equaled 6. Let's look at one more 4th grade one. So here we have, in 4th grade, you would have solved this as 500 plus 80 plus 2. But why? Well, because you had a 5 in the hundreds place value, which meant you had 5 100s, which equaled that. Here you had an 8 in the tens place value, so you had 8 tens, which equals this. And here you had a 2 in the ones place value, which equaled that. So this was your answer, but this was probably your thinking behind it in 4th grade. Okay, one more thing that you're going to need to know to be successful in this lesson is tenths, hundredths, and thousands. We keep using those words as a place values, but what do they look like if I try and write them in numbers? Well, I'm going to have to use fractions. So tenths looks like this, because we keep saying this means I took 1 and cut it into 10 pieces. That's what this means. Hundredths looks like this, and I bet you know what thousands looks like by now. It's going to look like that. Okay, you're going to want to refer to this throughout the lesson. Okay, our next section, remember, is our steps. These are kind of giving you a strategy of how you're going to attack the problems. So our first step is we're going to determine the place value of each digit. A digit is each single number within the big number. Okay, so 582 had 3 digits. 5, 8, and 2 are each a digit, but then this is the big number. So you're going to determine the place value of each digit, and you're going to write letters on top. That's kind of what we've been doing for the last 2 lessons. And then number 2 says you're going to write its value in the form required. And I'll show you what the form is. And our last step is you're going to check to see that you followed the correct format. A format is kind of like rules of how to do something, or a format how you set up a paper. You have to indent and you have to space. That's this. The same as this. There's going to be a set format that they're going to be looking for. Okay, so what does this really look like? Let me show you one. Actually 2. And this one says I'm going to write 39 and 457 thousandths in expanded form using the place value chart. Well, remember, we're not going to use the place value chart because we don't want to get too comfy using it because they're not going to give it to us on the test to use. Okay, so what am I going to do? Well, first I'm going to determine the place value of each digit, and I'm going to write the letters on top. That's right from my notes here. Well, we've been working mainly on these. So remember, this is my tenths, that's my hundredths, and that's my thousandths. Well, these are from 4th grade, but if you forgot, you can just refer to this and help you out. This one's the ones and the tens. So this is the ones and the tens. I usually put those in capital letters, and I put these in lowercase. Okay, then we're going to write its value in the form required. So last year, you would have just said this 3 is 30, but we can't do that this year. This year, we're going to stretch it out even farther. So instead of saying 30, I'm going to say I have 3 tens. So right here, I'm going to say I have 3 tens. That's what I have. Okay. Plus, what else do I have? I have 9 ones. I have 9 ones. Okay, plus, what do I have next? I have 4 tenths. This is where it gets tricky. I have 4, and remember, how are we going to write tenths? Like this. So I have 4 tenths. Okay, the weird thing is, the format they want is they want you to put a parenthesis around the fractions, and then you're going to need a bracket around this. So I like to remind myself that whenever I'm doing the decimal side, they need brackets. So all the decimal numbers are going to get these brackets around them. Okay, so plus, what else do I have? I have 5 hundredths. So I have 5 hundredths. And now let's remember that format. This is going to get parentheses, and this big thing's going to get brackets. Plus, I have 7 thousandths. So I have 7 thousandths, and then my format is that. Okay, and my last step was just check to see if I followed the correct format. Okay, do I have my times symbols inside? Do I have my plus symbols outside? Did I use my parentheses? Did I use my brackets on my decimals? It's going to be a lot to remember, but you'll kind of get in the habit of this, and it'll be a little bit easier. Okay, number 2, this time they gave it to us, and they want us to figure out standard form. Remember, standard is just regular form, and we're not using the place value chart again. We can use it for help, but we're not going to use it to write in. Okay, so let's try this. This one's a little trickier. This means I have 2 tens. Well, 2 tens is 20. That means I have a 2 in the tens place value. Okay, this means I have 6 ones. So I have a 6 in the ones place value. Plus, oh, I have brackets. That tells me that must be on the decimal side. So I'm going to put a decimal because now I know the 4 times 1/10. That means that's going to be a decimal number. So I have 4 in the tenths place value. Plus, I have 5 in the thousandths place value. Wait, I went from tenths to thousandths. What about hundredths? If it's not here, it must mean I have nothing in the hundredths place value. And this means I have 5 in the thousandths place value. What I like to do on these kind is I still like to put my letters on top like I did here, and then kind of backwards check it. So this is my tenths, this is my hundredths, that's my thousandths, that's my ones and tens. And then I like to match them to make sure. This is a great strategy for when you have a test question. 2 tens, yep, that's good. 6 ones, yep, that's good. 4 tenths, yep, no hundredths, and 5 thousandths. Looks good. Okay, let's try some of these because they're really tricky. Okay, so this is more similar to the first problem I did. So what are we going to do? You have your steps in front of you. We're first going to determine the place value of the digit and write the letters on top. So if we look at our decimal side that we've been focusing on, I know that's my tenths, my hundredths, and my thousandths. I also know that 1 right there is the ones place value. That's the tens, and that's the hundreds. And I'm sorry if it seems a little small to work with. Okay? Okay, next we're going to write the value in the form required. So this means I have 4 hundredths, which is going to look like that. And remember the form is, I'm going to put my parentheses. Then I have 7 in the tens. So I have 7 tens, which gives me 70. I put the plus because it means and I have this. And or plus I have 1, 1. So I have 1, 1. Plus I have, oh, I'm going to the decimal side, not the dark side, the decimal side, which means I'm going to use brackets. So I have 7 tenths. So I have 7 tenths, and then I'm going to put those parentheses and then those brackets. Plus, I have 4 hundredths, so 4 hundredths. Remember now our format is parentheses, brackets. Plus I have 9 thousandths. 9 thousandths. And then I just want to make sure I have my format down correctly. So parentheses, parentheses, brackets on my decimals, I'm good to go. Okay, this was the tricky one. It's the opposite. So I have 5 hundredths. I have 8 tens. I have 2 ones. Oh, I see brackets, which means I'm moving to the decimal side. I have 8 hundredths. Okay, wait. I learned, though, that tenths comes next. I can even double check here. Yep, tenths comes next, which means I don't have any tenths, so I'm going to put a 0. 8 hundredths, 7 thousandths. And then to double check, I can write my place values. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, ones, tens, hundreds. Now I can do that fast. If you can, that's great. If not, refer to this to help you. So do they match? 5 hundredths? Yep. 8 tens? Yep. 2 ones? Yep. No tenths? 8 hundredths? They match. So I'm great and ready to go. Okay, now it's your turn. Give this a try. Do the best you can, and I can help you tomorrow if you're struggling. You have 4 problems to try, and always rate honestly. Have a good night. Bye.